Hello, everyone. This is Nadia Hernandez, Executive Producer at ELS. Welcome to today's ELSX, and thank you for joining us. ELS is a community that brings together executive assistants supporting the world's most influential leaders. We cultivate professional development by providing an experience for assistants to connect, collaborate, and contribute solutions to their greatest challenges. We're also the creator of ELS Forum, a professional development experience for executive assistants held in cities across North America. At the forum, attendees gain support, training, and inspiration from world-renowned instructors and peers to discover a renewed sense of purpose and passion in their career. If you're interested in attending a forum, you can find more information at elsforum.com. Today, I'm thrilled to partner with Melissa Esquibel. Melissa specializes in transforming those confused by technology into empowered users of their software tools. As a Microsoft certified trainer with more than 25 years in business application technology, Melissa has a unique ability to make learning programs enjoyable and valuable. Her career spans banking, manufacturing, telecommunications, energy, and insurance, which allows her to provide real-world examples and applications. Hello and welcome, Melissa.
Thanks, Nadia. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Today, Melissa will be leading us through her Technology Masterclass Part 2. There will be an opportunity to get your questions answered. Please submit your questions at any time via the Questions tab on your webinar toolbar on the right-hand side of your screen. You can also download a copy of the handout for today's webinar via the Handout tab on the toolbar. A recording and a certificate of attendance will be emailed to you tomorrow. It is now my pleasure to hand it on over to you, Melissa.
Thanks, Nadia. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you could join us today. I hope you were able to attend the first part. The second part of the Technology Masterclass will cover putting things on autopilot and project management with what's in front of you. So we covered in our first session where things go and why and putting people into groups. And we talked about that with regard to both the G Suite world and the Office world. We're going to do some of that same. We're going to cover some of the same thing. We're going to cover multiple platform things where it's appropriate on these other two topics. So putting things on autopilot, let's release the bots. There is so much that you may be doing manually every day, repeated steps, that you can get your tools to do automatically for you. So we're going to take a look at those in terms of Outlook, apps like Flow, and some other things that are out there, IFTTT.com, that can help you get some of these things doing that tedious work for you. Now, I'll bet with an audience this size and the fact that most of you are, all of you, I would imagine, are administrative professionals, the numbers, the percentage will be higher of those of you who are already using rules. Generally, in a room full of administrative professionals, I usually find about 30% of the room, 30 to 40% of the room is already using rules. In a general audience, that number falls to around 5%. So if you're using rules already, hopefully you'll see a couple get some new ideas. If you've never set up a rule in your life, hopefully today will kind of be that gateway for you that you can get some of your mail sorting itself and taking actions all by itself. We'll take a look at rules with respect to meeting accepts declines, which you don't need. The value of a meeting accepts decline is the second it arrives in your inbox. After that, it has no use to you whatsoever. Unless it has a message in it. We'll show you how to deal with that. I have rules that reroute all of my social media emails, so I get alerted about all my LinkedIn groups, and those all get rerouted because that's not a right now kind of thing. So basically, the only thing I want to see in my inbox are right now kind of things that I already don't have a strategy for handling. So for example, if I always get this certain type of email and it always gets forwarded to somebody, I should have a rule that already does that. And if it then gets funneled off and marked red and sent off to a folder, my rule should just do that. If there are things I need to act upon, those are the things I should be seeing in the inbox. Okay, so let's take a look at how we do a basic rule. If you are an Outlook veteran, You may have been going about this the long way. So let me take a look up here. I'm going to try to use my beacon up here. What you're looking at is Office 365 desktop. It is very like Office 2019, 2016, even 2013. You might notice a few extra buttons here and there. You might notice things placed slightly to the left or slightly to the right. But by and large, this should resemble what you're using. Let me come over here to this mailbox.
Melissa, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but it doesn't seem to be showing anything on the screen.
That is because I didn't
There
do
we go.
that. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Melissa.
All right, so here we are, basic rules. All right, so I didn't go very far, so you didn't miss anything on the slides. Okay, so to set up a basic rule, we're simply going to right-click on an email, go to Rules, and Create Rule. For those of you who've been using it for a while, you may have come straight up here on the Home tab, gone to Rules, Manage Rules and Alerts, New Rule. It's going to pop up, getting me an error. Going to go New Rule, and then into this, and that's a lot of clicks. Most rules are set up to funnel things to folders. So let's take this one here from Olga. We'll do a right-click, Rules, Create Rule. That gets me in this basic rules screen where I can do the typical kind of rules. So any email from Olga, we're going to move the item to a folder, and I'm going to select the folder, and I'll go ahead and create a new one in here called conferences. New and conferences. Okay, it may take a few seconds for it to appear in the list, so always wait a second till you actually see it and notice that it's selected. Okay, so from here on out, anything from Olga, as soon as I click OK, off it goes to the conferences folder. I'm not going to set that one up right now, but that would be all you would need to do for that basic one. Or we can do something from the subject. So maybe I want to do something with anytime I use the word handouts in the subject line, I want it to go to a conferences or a webinars folder. There's a couple of different actions you can take here. One of them is display in the new item alert window. There is play a selected sound. I don't recommend that, but you know, if you like to hear music and you don't work around people you might disturb, then go for that. But display items in the new item alert window. Let me come out of this for a second. For many of you, when you get a new email, you get a pop-up down here in the lower right-hand corner. I like to take polls in the live audience and see how many people like that pop-up and how many people really don't like that pop-up. Those who express an opinion, most of them don't like it. Now, if you like it, that doesn't make you wrong. That's just your world and that's how you like to work. For those of us who are not a fan, first thing we would do is go to File, Options, Mail, and over here in Message Arrival, uncheck everything or everything but show an envelope icon in the taskbar. What I like about that one is it doesn't disturb my field of vision. There's nothing popping, there's no noises, it's not interrupting me. When I happen to look down and notice a yellow envelope, oh, I've got some new email, but that's me noticing it rather than it interrupting me. So with that going on, just click OK here. I can set up a rule, right click, rules, create rule, whoops. Right click, rules, create rule, and say when I get an email from Olga, display it in the new item alert window. So when Olga sends me an email, I'll see a window pop up in the middle that says, hey, you got something from Olga, you know, do you want to open it? Do you want to act on it? So if this is something I've got going on right now, which it is, and it's important, I'm going to click OK here and turn it on. Now, I'm not going to run it because I don't want to have a dozen pop-ups from all the email I have already from Olga, but I am going to turn it on from here forward. So if she does send me another email, I'm going to see that pop up right in the middle of my screen, and I no longer have every single email popping up in the lower right. Okay, so we just looked at a couple of different kind of rules. One that folders it, one that displays a message. You can get more complex than that by, from the same screen, clicking advanced options. I never really do go up there to the rules button and manage rules and alerts unless I'm setting up a rule for outgoing mail. Okay, so let's do this one for accepts declines. So right click rules, create rule, same old screen we were just in. I'm going to go right to advanced options. Now I don't have any criteria selected at this point, so this is just a blank rule. To do this for accepts declines, your criteria is going to be uses the form name form. Uses the form name form. Now with advanced rules, if you check it up here, you have to click it down here so that you can complete it. Just remember the 3 C's or it will not let you go forward. If you check it up there, you're going to click it down in the bottom in the script so that you can complete whatever it needs in order to understand your criteria. So we checked it here. We're going to click it here. And in the case of the accepts declines rule, we're going to change this to application forms. Now you can do these one off. You can do just accepts, you can do just declines. I'm going to do all three, accepts, declines. I'm just double clicking and tentative. So when any meeting response comes in, what do I want to do about it? Next. That's when I take the action. I'm going to move it to a folder. So I checked it up here. I'm going to click it down here and I'm going to choose my accepts declines folder, but you can always create a new folder if you don't have one. Now, some of you are already going, but, what happens when someone puts a message in that accepts declines? I mean, a lot of you have a rule set up to have all your accepts go permanently delete, and that's okay. Again, the value of it is when it arrives in your inbox, and even though you have a rule, technically it is arriving in your inbox, and then something else happens. So the moment it arrives in your inbox, it changes the meeting tracking, so you're fine. You don't need to keep it. But what if they put a message in like, yes, I'm coming, I accept the meeting request, but I'm going to be 15 minutes late. Well, if you have that automatically deleted, permanently deleted, you're never going to see that. You might be calling them at 9:02 saying, hey, where are you? And they said, well, I told you I was going to be 15 minutes late, but I'm on my way. So to avoid those little miscommunications, we're going to specify an exception. That's next. Except if the body contains specific words. So basically there's the form, that's everything that you normally see in an accept decline. Anything added to that, anything where they edit the response, that's what is considered the body for these things. So we checked it up here. We'll click it down here, and here are the words: A, E, I, O, U, Y. If you feel ambitious, you can put all 26 letters in. I'm going to click OK here. So basically, if they put anything, any word in the body at all, it is going to bounce out of this rule and come into my inbox. So when I click next here, I can run it now, or I can go ahead and just run it from here forward. I'm going to hit cancel since I already have this rule set up, but I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a moment. So this would enable you to go in and sweep that. Now you can do a permanently delete if you want. That's up to you. Sometimes I like to get a last look at my accepts declines. For example, if I set up a meeting with my team and I get nothing but declines, it's like, wow, what did I miss? How didn't I check that one out? Oh, right, we're closed on Monday, or we're closed, whenever. I forgot about that, or everybody's going to be on retreat, or whatever it is. So I like to have them just so I can eyeball what's coming in, but then I sweep that folder every so often. So whether it's daily or weekly or even monthly, I don't keep them because I don't need them. We have the tracking information in a meeting to tell us who accepted, who declined, who sent us a tentative. We already have that. We don't need to keep the message itself. Now, the first time you run this on your computer, for those of you that are ambitious and are already running it, Hopefully you have 2 screens because that's all yours may be doing for a while if you have a lot of them. All right, I'm going to click cancel here. So rules are one way to put your systems on autopilot. So whether it's email coming in from particular people, here's one that came up a lot at the forums. Let me just do another one here. Right click, rule, create rule. I'm going to go straight to advanced. Now, what if it's everybody from a particular domain? So we want to trap all email, let's see, with specific words in the sender's address. So I can check it up here, click this one, and anybody coming to me from Microsoft.com, any of my Microsoft buddies, anybody that has Microsoft.com in their email address, I can set up a rule to handle that email all by itself. So that's how you would do a rule for all people in a specific domain. So however you choose to use them, what you really want to be thinking through with your rules are when are you doing things manually that you really need to be letting Outlook take care of it because you never do anything different with those. I never read my LinkedIn stuff when it comes in immediately. I never do. It goes off to a folder. I look at it when I have time. Same thing with Microsoft updates. I don't look at them until I have time. That way, you are culling your inbox to really show you things that are important to you. Another thing that you can do, and this is helpful in finding messages, this is kind of autopilot. Search folders, which, just to make things more confusing, aren't folders at all. Search folders basically rerun a search. The most common use in my world that I've experienced are when you need to folder emails by one criteria, let's say project, but you also want to be able to find that email by person without having to go through and go in all the folders or search all the folders yourself. You can create a search folder. So let's see how that looks. When you create a search folder, and the reason I get so irritated about it being called a folder, nothing is going in anywhere. It's not going in anywhere. It's just made visible here. Unlike if you put an email in 2 folders, if you deleted it from one, it would still appear in the other. This isn't that. Your email only exists one time, and a search folder will find it for you. So your search folders will appear below your outbox and whatever else you might have for shared folders. So here's our search folders. You're going to do a right click and new search folder. Now you can create a search folder on just about anything. In fact, you probably use a search folder and don't even know it. It is your unread mail. That one is usually set up out of the box. Let me hit cancel here for a second. Mine's always up here in the, in the favorites. That's where I keep mine. Let me go back to the bottom here. So you're already using search folders. Unread items is a search folder. You can do mail flag for follow-up, so you can see everything you have a follow-up flagged on, anything you've marked important. You can get deep into the email fields by going custom. I'll do choose here. You can set up pretty much any field that is in the email you can actually use to create a search folder. So if you're looking for a specific thing, you can do that. Let me get all the way back out of here. We're going to just do mail to and from specific people. Okay, so mail to and from specific people. I'm going to choose the people. And we'll say all email from Aaron. Now let's pick somebody current. That way I'll see some. We'll do this one. I don't know if I'll find anybody, but we'll do this one. Okay, so from that email address. So if I have email from Cloud Digest that could end up in any number of folders, but I always want to be able to see anything that came from Cloud Digest, it's going to go rerun the search. So for example, let me close my reading pane. If there's email from Michelle, These are all of the emails from Michelle, no matter where that email might live. So let me take a look down here to see if there's anything not another one. Let me go take a look at email from Adam. So I have some email in the inbox, some email in something called Julie, some email in a different place. So when you see it here, you're seeing a link to the original email wherever it lives, okay, wherever it lives. So those are search folders. I would say if you find yourself searching for the same thing more than once in a day, create a search folder for it. Then to rerun that search, you just click on the search folder, everything shows up. If you delete a message, it will delete it from where its original location. So it's gone. If you delete it from there, it's going to go to deleted items, or if you shift delete, it's going to be permanently deleted. So you are looking at the actual item, but you are not necessarily looking at it in its original location. It's a link to that email. Now, on the other hand, you can, if I do a right click, I can do a delete folder. Now, this is funny to me. It makes a ding. It gives me a giant exclamation point and says, are you sure you want to permanently delete this search folder? Because the items contained in this folder will not be deleted. So nothing's going to happen if you just get rid of the search folder. The emails are still there. They're still going to be in their original location. It's just that you've deleted the search. Now, you got to be careful. What I just did was a right-click delete folder. That's different than coming in here and doing a delete. This is actually deleting the items. So you want to make sure you're clear about how search folders work. So right click on the search folder location in your folder pane, and then create your search folder. You can do this type of thing in Gmail. You are going to create a filter from a search, and then you can if you label them or you go at them a certain way, your labels, this is where you have the advantage in Gmail. When you run your rules in Gmail and use your rules to apply a label, you can apply multiple labels to an email in Gmail. So unlike Outlook, where I can't store it in two folders, I can apply two labels in Gmail so it appears to be in two locations, but it really only exists one time, and that is an advantage in Gmail. So while you can go ahead and do a search and save your search, you save your filter rule, you don't have the same liability as you do in Outlook as needing to copy things and putting them in two places. Now, let's say you know what action you want to take, but you can't really define the criteria. The criteria could be different. Let's say I wanted to have a method to quickly put email newsletters in a particular place, but I mean, the subject lines could be anything. So what I can do is set up a quick step. On the Home tab, let me go back to the correct mailbox here, make sure I'm in the right place. So on the Home tab, roughly the middle. Now, when you're looking at your screen, you may see this in a couple of different places, okay? May not be exactly here, but quick steps appear roughly in the middle. Sometimes it's larger and it appears as a gallery. Sometimes it's like mine where you need to click a more button before you see them all, but you will see the quick steps group out here. So if I do a new quick step, I can do a move. Let me actually go clean all this up. Let me go to manage quick steps, and I'm going to say reset to defaults, get rid of all my lovely quick steps. So it's down to kind of what you're looking at. That top one will always be the last folder that you sent something to. So I can create a new one for newsletters that says new quick step, move to folder quick step. I'm going to choose a folder. And if I need to create one, I can create one called newsletters. And okay. And you can see the name of it will automatically adopt the folder. Here's something to be aware of. Notice that it automatically marks it as red. That is the default behavior for a move to folder. I don't like that one because I like to look at my unread markers here and see what's going on. So I know I have 7 emails from my Gmail address that I need to go look at. I mean, these unread flags mean something to me. So I want to uncheck that. Just be aware that is the default. When I click finish, from here forward, let me go find one here. Here we go. We'll do this one. I'm going to click this and then click my newsletters, and off it went. It's in my newsletters folder. Let's go find that guy. We're in this one. That's correct. We'll expand inbox and come down to newsletters, and there is that email that I just sent there. Everywhere I go, I wish they would make it universal, that you could just turn the reading pane off completely, but there you have it. Okay, so that is a quick step. You can do quick steps to do lots of things. You can do a quick step for a new email. Talk about autopilot. If you're always sending out the same type of email to the same group of people, let's say it's a reminder about a meeting, or hey, we need to get our quarterly reports in, or whatever it is, and you're always doing that, you can go to your inbox, to home, and in your quick steps, you're going to do a new quick step, new email to. All right, and this is going to be about quarterlies. And it's going to go to the same people. And my other alter ego. Okay. So I can hit finish here, and that will always just give me the email addressed to those people, or I can right click on this, edit it, expand show options, and actually put the subject in the email. Time to submit for quarterlies. Okay, please send stuff. Thanks. I'm sure your email will be a lot more elaborated on than this one, but you get the idea. If I might have to put in some rich text or attach something, I can say automatically send after 1 minute delay. That way I can get it in the outbox and maybe change it if I need to. So that's up to you. You can also add multiple things like, choose another action and mark it for follow-up. So if I want to set a reminder on this one, I can just say, let's see. So I want to set it for this week and click save. So what happens now is when I click quarterlies, I get the email. It's already written, the flag's already set, and off it goes. So if I don't need to add anything to it, I can just hit send. I can always do stuff like, not that stuff, the other stuff, and then hit send, but it's primarily written. You can do the same thing with a meeting notice. So you can do new quick step, new meeting. Now for non-recurring meetings, I call these repeating meetings and not recurring meetings. So team meetup, same folks. What's my name again? There we go. All right, so I can do that one, save it, right click, edit, and show options, and I can actually say it's for the team meetup. It's in conference room A. Here is my agenda. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. Come prepared. There will be food. All right. So when it's time for me to send that meeting again, maybe later, when it's time for me to send that meetup again, I can just click it, and there it is, all set up. I just need to select the time, and off it goes. The people are invited. Here's my 2 people that are invited. I can add things to the agenda if I want to, put an attachment in here, and off it goes. So there's really no need to continue to have to do the same things over and over again. You can set these up for replies. You can set these up for new emails. You can set it up to do multiple things. I'm a big fan of quick steps. If you're using Office 2010 or forward, you have quick steps. You have to be in mail, you have to be in the inbox, and then you'll see it on the home tab smack in the middle of your ribbon. We don't yet have anything like that for Gmail, although I understand there are some add-ins that would allow you to do that. I don't have those at the top of my head, but if you have questions about that, you can reach me after the program and I'll do some follow-up and see if I can find something similar. Typically, these two, G Suite and Office, run neck and neck as far as the features they have. So sometimes the architecture prevents them from doing it. Sometimes it'll just take a while. In the G Suite world, sometimes it'll just be somebody developing an add-in. Now, quick steps, while they're wonderful, don't offer you the ability while you're building the quick step to use rich text like links or bolded text. They don't allow you, or HTML, they don't allow you to do attachments. And it becomes a little bit, you can't necessarily use a quick step with the rule. Like you can't say, send out this email when this, when this criteria is met. But you can do this with templates. Okay, this is totally doable with templates. Now, if you were setting up a template in any other Office program, you would create it. Just create a new email here. So here is my template, and I'm going to use this for certain circumstances. Just that's my subject line. Obviously, you'd put in whatever subject you want. You can attach an attachment here if you want to. Put in some rich text. Okay, whatever you want to do. Now, just like you would in any other Office application, File, Save as Type, Template. This is doable in Gmail with an add-in. If you are in G Suite and not the free version, there may be some templates available without an add-in, but templates are doable with add-ins, and you can do repeatable emails in Gmail with something as a template, but it is an add-in. Okay, so let me hit save here. I'm not going to change anything about where it wants to go, okay? So this is just use this for certain circumstances. I'm going to click save, and I'm going to close this and not save this. When I want to use this, I go to New Items, More Items, Choose Form. Now I'm going to look for User Forms, and I'm going to find use this for certain circumstances. Now, what I'm sending here is a brand new message to somebody. I'm not in the template itself, I'm in a copy of it, and I can send that to whoever I want. The other thing you can do with a template, let me come back here to rules, is you can use as an action reply using specific template, and you can then go here and select the template that you want to use from your system. So you can't do that with a quick step, but you sure can do it with a rule. So think about what templates it may be useful to set up. I would say in my experience working with a school here in Chicago when we were setting up interviews, the template might include a welcome message. We're looking forward to seeing you on whatever day we want to fill in there for your test teach. Attached, you'll find a map giving you parking locations and the entrance to our building, and whatever else we want to put in there. And so as we get something like that, we can just automatically use that template and send it out. You can also do this if you've sent an email to a bunch of people who are requesting more information. If they respond, let's say it's this subject line and this in the body, that's your criteria, automatically reply with this template. The template would be your reply that has the additional information. If you have something magical like Salesforce or Dynamics or some other CRM, you're going to be doing most of this type of thing through your CRM. But if you don't have that, Outlook templates and quick steps can take the place of being able to do some automatic follow-up and automatic send-outs to the people that you need to communicate with. So that's Outlook templates. The instructions are there in the handout. I've included some links how to set up and use email templates in Gmail. There are some answers on some of the add-ins out here. So if you have the handout, you have those uh, the same types of actions available in Gmail, and this is how you would do those. Again, some of those might require an add-in. So what other types of automation do we have? Well, if you have Office 365, we've got something called Flow. To be honest, I'm experimenting with Flow and I'm having, you know, some success. So here's an easy one. Save Office 365 email attachments to OneDrive for Business. So you can set this up so as soon as you get an email with an attachment, it automatically goes off to a folder, and then you're not having to save all these in your email. You can get a push notification, so that's a bell or a notice on your screen when you get an email from certain people. These are templates that are already built. So if you take a look at these templates, so let's just take a look at the one for sales team. Get a weekly email summary of new, if you're using Dynamics, opportunities in Dynamics. Here's a very similar one for Salesforce. These are all of the applications. I'm just going to say click all 299, and I swear that number gets bigger every time I look at it. But you can connect. So you usually have a trigger that's connecting to another app. So the trigger might be receiving something in Office 365 Outlook, and the action might be to create a line in a SharePoint list, or put an item in Planner, or add something to Microsoft Teams. So these are all of the things. You look at that Dropbox. So you can actually have something come in an email and maybe put the attachment out to Dropbox. I have one set right now that goes from when something comes into a Google Calendar, which is our family calendar, it updates my Office 365 calendar. So Flow is a way to connect things together. And this is just a boxes out there, Salesforce, Google Tasks. I mean, sometimes it's hard, even when you roll out an Office suite. I'll come down here and show you that Adobe Sign is here too, which I really like. Trello's out here, which I use. What I love about something like this is Microsoft figured out that we're not always going to stay in the ecosystem. A lot of times Microsoft takes its time releasing some functionality. In the meantime, we've gone off and we're using not Planner, but Asana, not OneNote, but Trello. And it recognizes that we're not going to use OneDrive for Business. We're using Dropbox, or maybe we're using both. By bringing this stuff into the fold, we can now connect all of these applications. Now, Microsoft did not come up with this idea originally. The original one was IFTTT, which stands for if this, then that. So I don't remember if I still have mine. Let's see. Let's see if it's still out there. So there is a free account that you can go, don't match. Okay, so we'll just say continue with Google. So continue with my Google one. And we'll use my personal Google one because it really doesn't matter. By the way, Flow and Google work really well together. So IFTTT functions with lots of different things. So if I want to work with email, I can connect email to get an email when the Google Assistant publishes a new trigger, get a response from Google Home. So if this is also works with all of your automated home stuff, your smart home stuff. You can get a NASA image of the day in your email. You can send a note to your email address. So just like with Flow, you've got a lot of different things that you can connect in IFTTT, and the paid version allows you more than the others. I work with Zapier for my Sawbuck Seminars business. If you register for a seminar, as soon as you pay for it, it automatically registers you for the seminar that you just paid for. So with Zapier, I can connect PayPal and Zoom. So there's lots of different ways to connect out there. If you're in the Microsoft ecosystem, I would say is try to work with Flow. On the Google side, IFTTT tends to be better. If you're connecting things that don't necessarily appear in any of those, look at Zapier or Zoho. All right, with our last little bit of time, I want to talk about the project management tools you already have in front of you. Now, if you're using Microsoft Project, or if you are using something like Asana, or you're using Basecamp, and that's working for you, don't go changing just to please me. What I want to introduce you to is just a few ways to leverage what you have to actually manage a project like a project. A lot of you are keeping a running to-do list. Maybe you have them categorized by project. Maybe you're still doing a lot of sticky notes. Maybe you have lists in Excel. The problem is things get missed. To actually manage a project with things like dependencies and dates and assignments, you may need a little extra help. So I want to share with you Excel, and then we'll see if we have some time, we can look at the Outlook piece. But let me fire up Excel here. And I'm actually going to open up a task plan I was just building. There it is. So this is, let me clear all the stuff in here because we don't need that right now. Okay, so this is a typical project plan, right? You're going to have task number is optional, but you have a task, you've got a start date, a due date, duration, hopefully, who it's assigned to, and maybe you're collecting actuals and kind of separating them, actuals from what you plan so that you can see if you're late or not. My numbering is strategic. The reason I do it by 100 is if I all of a sudden realize I need to have a task in between, I can insert it, and then this becomes task 150. I have the opportunity for 100 missing tasks to stick in there in between each one, which is review last year's feedback. All right, you can see in this task plan, I really only have one date entered. If you do control semicolon, that will give you today's date. All the other dates are going to be computed. Now, this is just one method you could use. In the first method, I might say the duration, I'm just going to keep it easy here for time's sake, and say all the durations on these, this is going to be 7 elapsed days. Now, elapsed days, not business days effort, but elapsed days. So I can do simple math, which is equal the start date plus the duration. And that's going to give me 7 elapsed days in the future. Now, if each task is dependent on the one before it, I can say this is equal to this plus 1. And then this is the same, start plus duration. Now again, just for simplicity's sake, if all of these are dependent on each one above it, and we're using nothing but elapsed time, not even thinking about holidays, I'm just going to grab these two and double click on the autofill handle, which will take that all the way down. So this project is going to end on the 20th. Register attendees, which is pretty much going to be the day of our event, is the 22nd of January, according to this, which would be a problem, of course, if the event really needed to happen on the 15th. So now we would need to do some fancy footwork here with maybe not starting things one right after the other, using less time. But notice if somebody comes to you and says, is it okay if I'm a week late on this? Well, let's plug this in. So let's say we're not going to start until 12/13/2019. Well, that date has now slid to the 22nd, and our event date has slid to the 29th. So it's really kind of cool when, rather than waving your arms, you can just plug in what a late date might be to show somebody the impact. Now, many people do not go beyond this, and they just do this to plan the project, okay? I should take it out to here. They do it just to plan the project, and they may use this to track it, they may not. They may take this into Outlook and create tasks with it or send it out to SharePoint, but this is your planning process. I want to go ahead and show you one more, maybe two more, we'll see how we're doing, ways to do this in Excel. Let me do that again with feeling. Move or copy, create a copy, send it out here. There we go. All right, so once again, I'm going to get rid of all of this and get rid of all of this. And the only thing I'm going to add out here are our holidays. And I believe that gives us Thanksgiving on the 28th. Let me move that down here. Whoops. This would typically be on another worksheet somewhere, but I'm going to go ahead and put it here for right now. Veterans Day, and then we might have Christmas, and then we will have the day. Let me see how that shakes out in the calendar here. In November, so we might have the day after Christmas or the day before. I'm just going to say we're going to do it the day after. And maybe some of you have off 12/31. I know some of you are laughing right now going, you don't know me very well. Okay, so these are our dates that would comprise our holidays. Now here's how this works using the workday function. If I use the workday function, it wants to know the start date and it wants to know how many workdays. Let me change all these to 5 workdays. Workday, start date, comma, duration. And my holidays are out here. I'm just going to select them. So start date, days or duration, and holidays. And I'm going to make this absolute cell references, so we don't make a mistake there. Absolute cell references just sort of anchors it because those holidays are always in N1 through N5. Not moving anywhere. I'm going to do another work day, provided I could spell work day. This is the start date, and it's going to go for 1 day's duration. And we're going to also choose those holidays and hit F4 to make those absolute. So this is hard coding that 1 day, starting one work day after the other one finishes. And I'm just going to copy this one down. Okay, again, work day, start, duration, and my holidays. Now watch what happens here. So you see this one ends on the 29th, but this one doesn't start until the 2nd. That's because there's a weekend or a holiday in between there. So it's actually accounting for weekends and holidays given this duration. So when somebody wants to be late on something, let's see, 1:31, here we go, 1:31 to 2:03. Well, I'm not going to be able to get this to you till 2:15. You can hard code it in there and watch it drive the date out. And it's driving the date out with the workday. Let me do that so you can kind of see the formulas. For those of you that want to grab a screenshot, there you go. Those are the formulas for workday. And keep in mind that my holidays are typed out to the side. Let me go back there 1 second, just in case you want to screenshot it. Okay. So with your list, no completely blank rows, no completely blank columns, always use column headings, 1 row, 1 record. Don't continue a task on multiple rows. To the extent you can, consistent data types. Now this date math that we're doing is based on the fact that Excel with a properly formatted date is really just formatting a number. Number 1 is January 1, 1900. 43,504 is February 8th, 2019. So all of these dates are nothing more than numbers. So when you do math with dates, it's just adding and subtracting. When you use workday, it's just adding and subtracting and then pulling out holidays and weekends. But all of this is dependent on a properly formatted date. When you type in a date, if it's not completely right justified like any other number, then you probably don't have a date you can work with and you would need to convert it. You can do the same kind of math with time. Time is expressed as a fraction of a day. You can do the same addition and subtraction, but you want to multiply the result by 24. Let me just do that on a blank worksheet here. So if I started a task at 7 a.m., this is a properly formatted time. You can see it right justified. And I finished it, finished it now, Control Shift semicolon. I can simply subtract from the later time the earlier time. And it is 5 hours and 49 minutes. But if what I'm after is billable time, I'm going to go ahead and put this in parentheses times 24 and clear the formats. So it is 5.82 billable hours. And that's how you would do that computation with time. Once again, I'll just kind of put that out there. If anybody wants to grab a screenshot of that, that is doing that computation with time. So if you want to measure effort, how long it takes to do something, that's really kind of a useful little formula to do. In the handout, there's a few other functions. You can see Workday is in there. You can also do project management out here in Outlook. Let me share with you just briefly what that looks like. It's done in tasks. We first create our tasks. We have to add start date to the view because it's not normally there. We do that with field chooser, drag start date up there, and then we can fill in start and end dates. We're going to categorize these. We'll categorize it as, we'll just call it summer, we'll call it spring event. And then we drag them back to tasks where we can then do a view, expand, collapse all groups. So we've sorted by categories, and now we can kind of see all of our projects together. So the instructions for that, I know that went really fast. Here's the categories. Here is the process: create a folder, add start date, brainstorm with the new task fields, set your start and due dates, populate with items, and in your handout are the detailed instructions about how to do a project management solution in Outlook. And with that, I am ready for questions, Nadia.
Thanks, Melissa. And I just want to remind everyone that they can download a copy of the slides via the Handouts tab. So the first question we have, and we're going to try and get through as many as we can, when you do a search folder for a person, will it pull up all messages that person was included in, or just messages with only that person?
So it depends on how you set it up. So if I come out to mail here and I go down to, come with me to the Casbah. All right, let me do that. Let me go down to my search folders, right click, new search folder. So you can do to and from specific people, or you can go to custom and say if they're, so choose criteria, search for the words, whoever it is in the, I should say, from somebody to somebody. You can add another one where the CC field contains them. So you can use your advanced rule to add criteria in here to basically have a here CC. So if they're to, from, CC'd, anything in there, that could include it. So search folders can be expanded to do just about any search criteria you want. You just need to go deeper into the custom criteria.
Okay, speaking of search folders, Melissa, another question we had is we have someone listening in who her company auto archives emails to EV Cloud after a set amount of time. If she uses search folders, will this search EV Cloud for her emails as well?
That's a really good question and may be location dependent. So you can see here all the places I can search. So when you set up your search folder, look for this in the bottom, search email in. And I have archives. I've got all of my various email accounts, SharePoint lists. So if you don't see it here, then the answer would be no, it won't search those. Those archival solutions may have their own search functions, but you may not be able to get at it with the search folder if you don't see it there in the list.
Okay, another question. In Outlook templates, is there a shortcut to get to my email template? Example, I have to go to new items, choose form, user defined, etc. Too many steps.
Understood. And I feel your pain. I once tried to create a macro and put that button on the top so it would automatically launch an email with my form. By the time I ran this thing for a week, I had to reinstall Outlook. So it may be doable. It may be doable with a macro. I don't know another way to do it, but it may be doable with a macro. You can't record macros in Outlook the way you can in Word and Excel, but if you have somebody at your location who is really good with VBA, they may be able to help you construct a macro that will just, you click a button and it will launch that template. I caution you about searching on the internet and finding, oh, this will work, I'll just copy this VBA in. That's how I ended up with a screwed up Outlook.
Next question, where was Flow located? How do you access Flow?
What a great question. So if you are in your Office 365 world, let me get out here. You'll always see the waffles out there. So let me start at office.com. So there's all your Office applications. If you are in Office 365, you click on the waffle, the app launcher, and it should be there. If you don't see it, go to all apps, and then you should see it in the list, and you should see Flow right there if you're an Office 365 shop.
Next question, when I created a template in Outlook, my signature information doubled on the new template. Why?
Because Microsoft. So the hot tip is don't include the signature on your template. Yeah, it does. It duplicates it. So it's creating a new email, and all of your new email, all it knows is it's a new email. And the way Outlook is set up is for all your new email, it's going to put your signature in. So don't use your signature on the template. It will automatically include it when you create it.
And then Melissa, would you mind showing us again briefly the Excel formulas? I have a few attendees who missed that part and they are not finding it in the handout.
I will do you one better. So I am going to show them, but I'm also going to make this available to you. If you want to get in contact with me after the program, I will send this to you. And let me see here. And there is just some explanation of Workday. So let me put this at the end. Formulas. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. This is just straight math. This is the start date plus the duration. That's straight math. On Workday, these formulas are already shown here. Let me get out of that mode. So start date, due date, duration. Let me come back in. These are the formulas in that workbook. And again, you can have this. Just write to me and I'll send it to you. Maybe 24 hours, but you'll get it eventually. May have to do this evening. So this is the Workday solution. This is time math, showing that you could do the end time minus the start time times 24 to get billable hours. Don't forget to clear your formats. All right, and this is stuff we didn't cover, but there's network days, which is another function. In the handout, it should be toward the end of the Excel section. If you don't see it, no worries, just write to me and I will be happy to send you the workbook.
Thank you, Melissa. And then this is going to be the final question. How can you create a rule for calendar invites for people you don't manage and don't need to respond?
Read me that one more time.
How can you create a rule for calendar invites for people you don't manage and don't need to respond?
If you know who those specific people are, you're going to do the uses the form name form and from. So you can build that from in the rule. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So if I were to do a new rule here, you would be doing a combination of from whoever those people are, and then also uses the form name form. So a combination of those two, and then having it, either go deleted or go off to a folder or whatever. So if you knew in advance who all that is, you can put them in the from and then choose the form.
Perfect. Okay, well, at this time, I would like to express my gratitude to Melissa for taking time out of her busy schedule to speak with us today. For a much deeper dive into Melissa's Technology Masterclass, you can join us next week in Denver for in-person training. You can register for that forum or any of our upcoming webinars at elsforum.com. Quick reminder, you will receive a certificate of attendance and recording that will be emailed to you tomorrow. I hope you have enjoyed today's ELSX, and a final thank you to everyone for joining us and participating. We hope you have a wonderful week, and I wish you continued success. And thank you again, Melissa.
Thank you, Nadia. Take care, everybody.
Bye.